Oh shit, the boys are back in the building. Lamb here, and as always, being joined by my guy, Triple B, Mickey. What's good?
I'm good. I'm back. We are back. I'm pumped. Yeah, you got the new move. We just got back from AC. The boys, the gang at ATS spot. We all hit up AC last weekend. We had plenty of fights in the DraftKings Sportsbook. It was insane. The reactions were crazy, but I'm pumped to get into this card with you because we got some more good stuff here.
Yeah, man, I would have definitely been out there with you guys in AC. I know Alpha hit me up and was like, "Dude, you gotta come to AC." I was like, "Man, I'm moving." So I'm all settled in. Finally got my internet. No internet for like 10 days, bro. I was miserable. It sucked.
That is
Getting
brutal.
shit done. But we're here. We got it's a pretty interesting card, man. I know there was one fight I was really looking forward to, and it got scrapped right as we started recording Aspen Ladd and Sarah McMahon. I was ready to ask people for money to lay it on Aspen Ladd. That's how confident I was. But let's get right into it, man, because it's going to be a relatively short show, but we got some bars for you guys. And opening up the card is one of my favorite dogs on the weekend, Mickey. And we got Van Camp checking in at plus 165, plus 160 consensus in all books, going up against Nicholas Moda. And to me, the way I'm looking at this is Van Camp's first fight in the UFC was against Andre Fiallo. And anytime there's a guy making their debut, their next fight, I like going back to watching that first one. And he looked all right. He looked pretty good. He fought at a weight class he wasn't comfortable in. He's going to be the massive fighter in this one. I think it's like a 4 or 5 inch height advantage. I think he'll have the size on Moda too. And to me, it's just weird that he's a dog at plus 160.
I'm right there with you, man. I think this is a weird line. Moda, he's one of the Dana White Contender Series guys, and if you haven't been around for too long, these are guys that are typically fade material coming into here. If you haven't been watching, Dana likes to hand out contracts to anybody. His Contender Series fight, he won a decision. Kind of surprising that he got a contract out of that, but Van Camp, I'm not like super unimpressed by him. His first fight was a tough one. He had Fiallo, and Fiallo's a dog. And like you said, he looked good in the fight. If you go back and watch it, I think he looked pretty good. He didn't get the result he wanted, obviously, but he was fighting out of his weight class. And I think going back down to lightweight and seeing him at plus 165 here, it's a lot of value on the dog.
I think I agree with you. I agree with you for sure. And you're the one that put me on to like, be careful with these guys coming off the Contender Series. They're not exactly fighting elite fighters on there too. And they do seem to just like, if you get a flashy knockout or a nice performance, it's like they're begging you to get signed there. One of the props that I do like that I find interesting, and it kind of correlates with like the fight doesn't go to distance. So fight doesn't go to distance is minus 250 in this one. I think Moda can win by knockout. That would be his path to victory, and you could get that at plus 140. And then Van Camp on the flip side, I think he would want to take that fight to the ground. You could get him at plus 330 by sub. You know how I am, man. I love trying to get too cute, and it burns me often. But I think a 3-1 submission prop is interesting for Van Camp.
I like the looks of that. I think there's a lot of value on here, especially when you get a guy that you're not even sure should have been a dog. You start getting into more specific props, you're going to be able to find even more value on. So if you can find that path to victory, I love the angles that you take on these because, someone who you might view Cameron Van Camp as he should probably be the favorite in this. Well, if he's already plus money on the money line, you're going to get some nice plus money on certain ways of victory. So I love that.
Let's move on to the next fight on the menu. And I believe it's another one that I am shocked by this line. And Mickey, I feel like Agapova was that massive favorite against Dobson. Wasn't it or Eubanks? It was one of those two where she was like a 12-1 favorite and she lost. She got stopped. And ever since then, it's been a little wacky in her fights. But she's going up against Jillian Robertson, minus 140. Minus 145, as high as minus 160. And then on the kickback, you get plus 125 on Agapova. How do you feel about this one?
Yeah, this is one I'm also very surprised that she's the dog in this one. I'm not going to be going in too crazy with any props on this one, but I do like her, just straight on the money line here. I think that she gets it done. She's going up against a 10-7 Robertson here. I just think she's the better fighter, honestly, and I'll take a flyer on Agapova. I always call her Agapova. It's never how you say her name right, but she's done good for me. I know she was that crazy favorite a long time ago. That was like 2 or 3 fights ago, but I still think that she's the better fighter, and I'm going to take the better fighter at plus money.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think Jillian Robertson, if it gets to the ground, we saw Agapova in her last fight, actually had that fight to end by submission. She was going up against Morazzo, and that ended by sub, so that was pretty cool. But Agapova, she does gas. So that's the one concern I have with her. I would actually prefer her inside the distance as opposed on the money line, because I could see this being where she dominates round 1, and then she just has nothing left the rest of the way, and Jillian Robertson just ground and pounds and just gets on top and can find her way to a finish. So I do feel more comfortable on inside the distance, because I don't trust her to win a fight as a dog going 3 rounds, just because she hasn't shown that with us.
Yeah, I like that angle. I think that's definitely a decent angle there. Heavily juiced, or not heavily juiced to the under. Like anytime, it's only plus 125 on under 1.5. So the books are definitely expecting a finish in this one. So, and if you like Maria to get that done, then I think that's a pretty good bet, because I like her on the money. I like her on the money line. I think she wins this fight. It's a little bit of like the safer play, but I think inside the distance probably has some great value as well. What's the line on that one?
Fight doesn't go to distance is minus 200.
Oh,
so that kind of plays into my angle on this one, if you would agree with that. And look, Robertson is also someone where Agapova is horrible on the ground. Like, she's a great attacking grappler, but defensively, if she gets taken down, she might not be able to get up. So the path to victory would be she stuns her on the feet, drops her, and then she's done it before where she just quickly just snatches that neck, and it's night. So I think this one doesn't go to distance is probably my favorite bet, but I also like Agapova inside the distance on this one too, and it correlates with the fight doesn't go to distance. So yeah, I know it's women's MMA, and sometimes it gets a little wacky, but it's I like that we're both on the same person here.
No, yeah, I like that a lot.
What do we got next? Next, I believe another woman's fight. And this one, we don't really talk much before the show as far as like what plays we like. And I always prefer shows that way, because you get like a natural reaction to something you might say or I might say. I want you to introduce this one. We got Gomez as a dog going up against Luke Boomy. Gomez as high as plus 175, Luke Boomy minus 200, because you had a take when we came on.
Yeah, I mean, I like Denise Gomez in here. I'm surprised she's as high of a dog as she is in this one. She's riding a nice win streak here. Luke Boume is a striker first for sure, and we've seen from Gomez too. She can get some TKO wins. 2 of her last 3 fights have actually ended in TKO. Yeah, you see the under 2.5 is heavily juiced there. Or no, it's a. I'm surprised that that's so much plus money here. I could definitely see this one ending inside the distance, to be honest with you. I'm riding the dog here. I just think that there's way too much value on Gomez. A lot of dogs we're looking at here early, but I just think that some of these prelims here, we're going to have some dogs. We saw a lot of dogs last week. What's your thoughts on this one? I like Gomez on this one on the money line.
Yeah, to me, the thing that stood out was the size advantage that she's going to have in this one. She's a big girl. And in comparison to Loma, I think that was the one that stood out to me the most. So the size is going to definitely play a factor, and she's going to be able to keep her at range. And I like that she's coming in with a little bit of a finish streak. I believe it's her debut. I apologize if that's not. But I think she does everything well to negate what Loma does well. So I think her as a dog, man, it's very interesting. I think just her as a dog outright, just because I don't know what her approach is going to be. Maybe it is her debut, or maybe she's nervous. She doesn't want to go for a finish. I don't know. So and this is close to a 2-1 dog as opposed to the other one where it was like plus 115 you were talking about. So yeah, man, I think the size advantage is going to be massive here, and I like her to get the job done at plus 170.
Yeah, I think there's tons of value here. We talked about, not liking the Contender Series fighters as much, but I kind of think a lot of that leans a little bit more towards some of the guys in this one. With women's MMA, I mean, height and reach advantage is so big, in my opinion. I mean, you can be a worse fighter, but simply just having the physical advantage can be enough to swing a fight in some of these, because not a lot of times they're super active, and being able to keep them at bay, keep them at bay with your reach and stuff. It's crazy how much that can play into women's MMA. So, I mean, at plus 170, I think Denise has looked good. I think she's definitely worth a flyer.
Yeah, and last thing, I just did some quick little homework here. It is her debut fight. She fought in the Contender Series about a month ago, so it's her first fight in. She's a young fighter. She's only 22 years old. And to me, dude, last thing I'll say is I think the line is wrong, like you mentioned, with the value. And I feel like handicapping this one, it should be more of a pick'em or close to that. So if you're giving me a plus 170 on a coin flip, I kind of take that by default, and that's why I think we're both in agreement here. 3 straight dogs to open up this program.
There we go.
All right, let's get to what we got next, and it is the main card. Now, this first one is a guy who I'm a fan of Fluffy Hernandez. Ever since he got that submission over Rodolfo Vieira, I think he was like 30-1 because Vieira was this ADCC IBJF world champion, and he subbed him in the second round. He's been on my radar. I had that fight to not go the distance big and to end by submission. Clearly didn't expect it to go that way, but how do you feel about this fight right here? Hernandez coming in at minus 175 against Barrio at plus 150.
Yeah, honestly, this is one where I'm willing to pay a little more juice here. He's gotten up a little more juicier over the couple days. He's definitely starting to go up, and I think he's only going to continue to go up. Hernandez, I like him in this fight. I'm going to lay the juice with him. I think he gets it done. Might look into a little bit some more props if this continues to rise before it gets closer, if you don't have any bets in. But I think Hernandez gets it done. And I know that Barrio is, he's kind of got one of those staple names almost at this point where you at least recognize his name. Even if you don't watch fights too much, you're like, oh, I think I've heard of that guy. So, but I still think Hernandez gets it done. I like him. Like you said, he's had that exciting fight last fight. Or that was actually 2 fights ago against Vieira, I think. But I just think he gets it done. And I'm going to probably just lay the money line, pay the juice here. But I think he's a good parlay piece if you need one, if it continues to juice up. But I'm riding with Hernandez on here. I'm interested to hear what you think about this one.
Yeah, I think you pretty much just hit a home run on everything that I was going to say. Not much more to add to it. I would just be repeating everything. And you're right, man. As a parlay piece, I think he is really interesting for sure. And Barrio, he's coming off a loss. I believe he got knocked out in his last fight. And it's just I think finally we break the trend of 3 straight dogs, and we're on a favorite here that we feel comfortable with.
I always feel better when I got you on my side.
Amen to that, man. Amen to that. All right, next up, I think this next fight is I'm a lot of people whose opinion I respect in MMA are on Nascimento, and he's the dog here against Tanner Boser. And to me, I'm passing on this fight because I think it's low level heavyweight MMA. It can either end in the first round or it's a sloppy decision. So to me, I think Nascimento could get a submission win. If I want to get crazy and kind of look at a prop that way, maybe I could get him as a sub at plus 300. But I think it's one of those fight is going to go to distance or Boser gets a knockout or bust is how I'm looking.
Yeah, I lean more towards the Bozer getting a knockout one. He's pretty juicy, but I think it's a pretty safe bet to bank on him going inside the distance or something. I like Bozer. Um, and like you said, it's kind of a lower level heavyweight fight, but I think Bozer gets it done. I don't think he struggles that much, to be honest. He's a good parlay piece. I think if you like it, I think this could be an early fight for Bozer.
Well, if you know, I do agree with you on the sense of the knockout. And if it happens, it has to happen early, and you can get that at plus 240 for him to win in round one, and the knockout prop TKO is plus 140. But I think Bozer is the better fighter. It's just, again, for me, it's a pass. Maybe I would look at fight doesn't go to decision at minus 250. But then again, I've seen this time and time again with heavyweight MMA, man. If you don't get that early stoppage, it's kind of a snooze fest. So to me, it's a pass. I'll just be rooting with you, which I agree in the sense of like Bozer being the better fighter and being the parlay piece. Next one, I think we have a debuting fighter as well, checking in as a big favorite. Joe Pfeiffer off the Contender Series, minus 460, as high as minus 530 on FanDuel right now. Going up against Amadovski. I think I got that right. I think I crushed that actually with the pronunciation. But how do you feel, man? Debut fighter. This is your thing. You're known as the guy coming off the Contender Series. Just pursue with caution. So you tell me.
I know. Normally, I feel like this is the spot where I come in and I'm taking the plus 350 dog here. But honestly, I think Joe Pfeiffer gets it done. I think this is but that line's obviously something you can't touch. I mean, maybe you throw him in your long shot parlay where you're picking every single fight. I would definitely take Pfeiffer if you're doing that. If you're trying to put together every single fight parlay or something. But I think Pfeiffer gets it done. But I also I'm not touching a minus 430 line. So it's a tough one for me. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if anyone's taking the dog here. Especially like I said, the Contender Series guys aren't something that I like to lay heavy juice with. So I wouldn't be surprised. If you like Amadovski, I'll tip my hat to you if he gets it done. But this is not one of the spots I really want to go in on.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I think Pfeiffer gets the job done. I personally think that he's being thrown a bone to get that flashy knockout submission performance. This is not something I usually do, but it worked out for me last week too with Almeida. Almeida was like minus 800, and I took him minus 300 to win inside the distance, and he got the job done. I feel the same way about Pfeiffer. You can get him as high as minus 240 to win inside the distance. You get 2-1 odds less than taking him on the money line. I think the UFC does this sometimes too. He comes from a camp. Daniel Gracie is in his corner with Jonathan Webb, CFFC guys over in Atlantic City. That's where they're based out of in the Philly area. So to me, I think coming off the Contender Series debut fight, he has the right people in his corner, and I think he's being thrown a bone here to get a stoppage. So if I want to get funky, and I like to get funky, Pfeiffer in round one minus 120. I think it doesn't go to round two. So I'm definitely, I like living on the edge a little bit more than you do. So Pfeiffer inside the distance is the parlay piece for me, as opposed to minus 435. So hopefully we're right on this one.
I like it.
All right, next one is another fight that I'm more so excited to watch this fight than I am to bet on it. Andre Fili coming in at minus 130 with one of the best nicknames in the sport, Touchy Feely, going up against Bill Algeo, El Perfecto, I think his name is, or El Senor is his nickname as well. To me, I have no hard stance on this one. Two guys that I've made money on in the past. I'm more so going to enjoy the fight more so than trying to make money on it. So the floor is yours.
I lean with Feely here. I think that I know a lot of my friends that like Algeo a lot. They like like just in general. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of love coming on him, especially Saturday morning or something. But I think Fili gets it done. At minus 125, I'm all right with throwing like a unit on him. I think he gets the job done. And I mean, there's not really too much to it. I just think he's gonna win this fight. I think there's just the way these two match up. I think that Fili gets the job done at the end of the day. Algio has also made me a lot of money, like you have said. So it's tough. It's tough always like going against those guys that have been kind of breadwinners for you. But in this specific matchup, I got to ride with Fili on it.
Yeah, man. I agree with you. It's a fight. You know, I trust the camp of Fili. He's coming off an embarrassing loss. I think he wants to bounce back. He was like a 3-1 favorite in his last fight and got stopped within 2 minutes. I know that very well because he was a parlay piece of mine, and I was devastated because it ruined my whole night. But you know, that's the fight game. Algio has been pretty profitable. You know, he in his last fight against the younger Burns brother, Herbert Burns, I think his name is. It's blanking me right now, but Burns like blew out his knees, and it was just a weird fight. So to pass on me, I'll be rooting for you if you have action on this one. But I think it'll be a better fight to watch as opposed to bet on. And based on the line, I think they're saying the same thing as well. Co-main. This is another one where the line completely flip-flopped. Rodriguez opened up at minus 150, and now he's checking in as a plus 105 underdog. The line movement on this one has been wild. I'm a little shocked that fight to go under 1.5 rounds, you could find that at plus 110 in some places. That was weird to me because I don't think the fight lasts very long. These are two guys who are ultra aggressive. I think because of their background with the grappling and the submission stuff, I think it stays up on the feet, and I would lean towards Chidi in that aspect.
Yeah, I like Chidi. He's another guy that's made me, some good money. But I think Rodriguez gets it done in this one. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I think that I'd give him like I don't know. I'd say like a 65% chance, and a 65% chance, maybe 60% chance. But either way, 60% chance at plus money. I gotta stick with that. I'd say 60% of the time I see him winning this fight. I think that I can't pass on it. So I like this fight. It's probably gonna be like a 2-unit bet for me or something. I think he gets it done, and I think the people are gonna be riding the Chidi wave here lately. And I like the line movement. I think the public is all over him. MMA is the one sport where line movement doesn't really scare me as much because it doesn't really seem to be as many like, okay, the line's moving because of sharp betting. So I'm not too scared of the line movement. If anything, it usually just is an overcorrection and you get value on the other side. So I'm going to be rocking with Rodriguez, especially now that, you're getting a guy that opened at minus 150, you're getting him at plus money. And like I said, I don't think that's necessarily because of sharp action.
Dude, what you just said about the line movement with the public and the sharps, you need to shoot a video on that because that is that's exactly it. It's the one sport where lines move and flipped. I'm like, nah, because I feel like both of us, we know the sport fairly well, and I ignore that kind of stuff. It's still a new sport in the sense of the betting. I think the last 5 years it really emerged to being, some of these big cards generate like Sunday night football kind of action. We're talking about like the monster pay-per-views, right? So it's still relatively new. So I don't know many sharps in MMA or whatnot, So when you do have some marquee fighters that are household names, they get some knockouts, like, Joaquin Buckley, his lines are always outrageous, and I think they're inflated because of his knockout. So yeah, you're right, man. To me, I feel like I would probably go towards Chidi, and I think this is the first fight that we disagree on, so that's going to be interesting. But you're right. I think Rodriguez might be the better fighter of the two, and if you're handicapping it with a 60% edge, like you should definitely be on the dog then.
100%. That's what I'm rocking with here. I'm going to stick to my guns, and if I go down with my ship, I go down with my ship.
All right, main event time. This one, We've been talking about lines being mispriced where the dog it should be closer to a pick 'em, right? We've been saying like, oh, the wrong person's favorite. Mickey, in this fight, I think the favorite isn't as big as a favorite as he should be. I think Corey Sandhagen is the Colby Covington of 135. I don't think he can be champion. He's probably my favorite 135er. But I think he runs into those guys like a Dillashaw, like a Peter Yan, who, like Corey to me is B plus everywhere. And when he runs into someone that has a A plus quality in their fights, that's where he struggles. So to me, Sandhagen at minus 190 is wrong. He should be a bigger favorite. I think right now at this point in their careers, Corey is 30 years old. Song is 24, just turned 24. I think Song has the more promising future, but right now the better fighter is Corey Sandhagen, and he shouldn't be a 2-1 dog.
I'm right there with you. I think you summed that up perfectly. I think Song Yadong, he's definitely got the better future, just like you said, but Sandhagen is the better fighter currently. I mean, if you look at his fights, he's fighting absolute dogs. I mean, losing to Peter Yan is no, obviously Yan is no slouch. And until that Sterling fight, everyone thought he was unanimously the best in the division. It was hands down, like Yan he deserves this, all this stuff. I mean, obviously Sterling really just showed how good of a champ he actually can be. But so I think it'll be interesting because I mean, if you look at the guys he lost, like you said, it's Dillashaw, it's Amon Sterling. But these are the types of guys I think he dominates. I mean, he's just like you said. I think the Colby Covington comparison was perfect because it's like, man, if you just didn't have this certain person or something, like he would be the champ, and that's kind of how it is with Corey Sandhagen. So I think he handles this, and like you said, I think I'm not super big on like loving heavy favorites, but even at minus 180, minus 190, I think it's just not enough. So I'm with you on this one. I like Corey to get it done in the main event.
Well, how about this? I'm not into laying big money on favorites either, but when the big favorite is not as big as favorite as you should be, that makes me feel a little better too because I'm getting massive value.
No, 100%.
Like, I really think he should be a minus 325 favorite over Yadong. And again, I'm a Yadong guy. I think he's a very good fighter, but there is levels to this, and this is a massive. Corey Sandhagen was just fighting for the title, and then it was a title eliminator after with Dillashaw because Dillashaw's getting the next title shot. So if he would have beat Dillashaw, he was back in a rematch against what's his name, Aljamain. So to me, this is a massive step up. If you want to get a little funky, this is gonna be the first main event for Yadong in the UFC. Maybe we don't know what the gas tank is gonna look like. So Sandhagen to win in round 4, 20-1 odds. Sandhagen to win in round 5, 25-1 odds. And, I wouldn't be surprised if Yadong comes out fast and furious in round 1, and maybe you could get Corey live after round 1 as a shorter favorite, So to me, I think Corey Sandhagen, I'll be shocked if he loses this fight. Like very shocked. I won't believe it kind of thing.
I'm right there with you. I think round 4 and 5, you can get some nice value on it. And I think that was a great point. I love that. I'm definitely gonna be looking into that one as well.
All right, let's end the show with best bets. And I also got a little parlay for you that I think you might be interested in to start the night. Nothing too crazy, but us three were on the same 3 dogs to open up the night, and we felt as if all 3 should have been the favorite. So just a parlay to get the juices flowing a little bit. 15-1 Van Camp, Agapova, and Gomez just to win outright. Quarter of a unit wins you $385, and then you have the rest of the night to just dabble a little bit. Not so much a best bet, but I think like a what's it called? A collaborative parlay.
I like that. I didn't have a parlay cooked up for this one. I'll make sure to have one next week. I'm going to have kind of a fun parlay like that. I think that's something good we can throw into the mix of this stuff here. But As far as my best bets, I think I'm gonna start us off with the dog. I think the early dog. I'm gonna go with Gomez. I think that at her being the dog when I don't think she should be, I think she's worth a flyer early in this card. So I think that the value is definitely enough to make it, a best bet. Might not be my highest unit bet, but I think it's one of the better bets you can make on this prelims card. So I'm going to rock with them. I'm going to throw out a fight we didn't talk about. I think Basharat, a lot of people probably recognize that name, whether you've watched the sport or not. His brother just fought on the Contender Series. I think he handles work. He's a little bit juicy, but I think he's probably one of my favorites to just handle his business and get it done. So I'm going to throw him in there, and then I'm going to close it out with Hernandez. I think he gets it done. So that's going to be my top 3 that I like for this fight.
Yeah, for me, I like Corey Sandhagen to win his fight at -180, -200. I feel comfortable putting him in parlays up until -320. I really think that line is wrong. So that's probably my favorite bet on the whole board. Pfeiffer to win inside the distance at -240 is another one that I really like. And then I really think that you can get some nice odds if you're looking for a prop. Agapova to win inside the distance at +300. I think, and we mentioned it before, so you could go back and recapture that one. I think the only way she wins this fight, Mickey, is inside the distance. So I would love that at +300. So there you have it. The best bets. We gave you a little bit of a parlay that we agreed on with our picks. And yeah, this was fun. Is there a card next week? I don't know if there is a card next week. Let me pull that up. I know come October. Yeah, starting in October.
Yeah, it's the beginning of October is when we get our next fight.
Yeah, and then we got a bunch of and then we got the banger of 280, which is gonna be massive.
So. 280 is gonna be absolutely insane. Save up all your money because it's all going to 280.
Oh yeah. Thank you all for watching. Lamb here checking out, Mickey checking out, and we'll catch you guys next time.